Hello, dear teachers. Welcome to my forum presentation. I'm so glad to be here with you. My name is Zurisadai Recinos Rodriguez, and I'm going to present my topic, the use of comics as a strategy to strengthen reading comprehension. The contents of this project are the diagnosis report, the group characteristics, the problematic, the methodology, the project implementation, and the results. First of all, we have the middle school data. The name of this middle school is Ricardo Bell, and the school Ricardo Bell is located in the street Caballo Bayo in the avenue Benito Juarez on Ciudad Nezahualcóyotl in the state of Mexico. External context. This context is an urban context where close to this public middle school, Ricardo Bell, are a Catholic church, an elementary school, and a market. In the same zone exist several formal and informal businesses. It's very important to mention that the middle school is located near to a popular avenue, Dr. Gustavo Vaz, where students and the school staff have access to different types of public transport to get to the school. The internal context, this middle school have to shift in action morning and evening. The student population depends of the shift. For example, in the morning shift, the middle school have 502 students. In the case of the afternoon shift, the total number of students amount to the 400 students. The students are divided into 12 groups per grade, uh, between 30 or 40 students per group. Uh, about the institutional staff, the middle schools have 44 people distributed in managerial position, teachers of all subjects, counselors, and cleaning personnel. The diagnosis report, according to the authors Luchetti and Berlanda, the diagnosis is understood to be el proceso a través del cual conocemos el estado o situación en el que se encuentra algo o alguien con la finalidad de intervenir si es necesario para aproximarlo a lo ideal. Data collection. During this process, the observation and the interview were present in every moment because mm, the observation and the interview are considered techniques for the recollection of fundamental data in every context. It can be virtual context or face-to-face context. The observation are the study of several facts, objects, or the phenomenon of the current reality. About the interview, uh, in this case specifically, uh, was applied a semi-structured interview uh, used to recollect important data from the group, the study group. The teacher had proportionate these fundamental data for my project. Group characteristic. During this intervention, I was work with the first grade group D, where the total of students was 41. About the gender, uh, there are 22 girls and 19 boys. Uh, the ages are between 11 or 12 years old. Learning styles of the study group, first D. According to the teacher in head, the two main learning styles are active and pragmatic. The learning style active refers to the students that look for new experiences, uh, and they are open-minded. And on the other hand, we have the pragmatic. Uh, to these students, they like to act quickly and confidently with ideas and projects. The perception channels. The perception channels also are an important part to know the way our students can be react of our class. So in this case, the 85% of the students are visual and the 10% are auditive, and finally the 5% are kinesthetic. Resources support. During the homeschooling modality, the teacher in training use two platforms, Google Meet and Google Classroom. Google Meet allows us to interact with the students with face to face on a camera, and you can share videos, you can share links or other resources during this video call. The second one is Classroom, Google Classroom, where you can assign a lot of tasks, and at the same time you can write a rubric for your students, and it's like a real classroom. The students deliver their works, and you can feed back the tasks. Problematic. During my intervention period, I noticed a lack of knowledge about the target language, specifically in the reading skills. As we know, the reading skill is one of the important skills when you are teaching a second language. As I mentioned, reading is one of the most important skills. So, according to Jeremy Harmer, reading can provide different opportunities to teach and learn English. Uh, in reading, you can learn vocabulary, grammar, sentences, paragraphs, among others. Also, it's very useful for the development of the classes uh, and learning process of the students. In his book, How to Teach English, in chapter 7, he explains all these advantages for the teaching of the reading. To continue, the methodology is action research. Uh, Action research is a reflective process where it links research, action, and training carried out by social science professionals about their own practice. In this case, my teaching practice. Project implementation. During these practicums, I had two periods of intervention, one in the 3rd of June and the other of 10th of June of 2021. During my intervention, I try to use something very similar to a comic because for me, it was really hard to implement a real comic as a real comic have to be. So I try to contextualize to my students with Pictionary. This activity it's very good for word and image association. Other thing that I have to implement was the reading of short stories. With the short stories, the reading of short stories, I consider that comprehension questions it will be the appropriate to reinforce the reading skill. So the activity consists in read the the short story, and then as assignment or activity in class, the students had to answer to this comprehension question. Another thing that I had to use was the audiovisual resources, because these audiovisual resources was a good tool for me and my students to learn more vocabulary of the specific topic. During my intervention, another tool very important was the notes, because with these notes during the classes, the student can increase their writing vocabulary, and it's a good way to have an evidence of their work. It doesn't mean that they have a real learning, but it's a great evidence for the class. Another important and fundamental thing was the assignments. Sadly, most of the students delivered late or not delivered their works. So a less percentage of the students deliver on time their assignments. Results. During this implementation, students who have positive and negative results. So the positive results was more participation, increase of the vocabulary during the class, and the attendance. A negative and the only negative result was the gap in the delivery of the assignment. Sometimes the students deliver a blank space, and it it was very hard, because I tried to innovate with a new activity, but it doesn't work. Teacher in training results. I consider that the strength of this project was the use of readings of the topic in specific, the use of Pictionary, and the relationship with the image and a word was a great idea for their knowledge. They increased the reading and the writing productivity of the students. The educational activities such as video games was a good tool, but it wasn't enough. The weaknesses, the time of the activities was very long. So I just have 1 hour to give all my activities. Uh, so it was very conclusion. It's very hard to implement a new strategy with students with a low English level. So the thing that I need to do with in a future is to contextualize more my students to get more vocabulary and more confidence to read a real comic. So it's all from my part. I want to say thank you to your teachers to listen to my forum presentation. Thank you so much.